you. But when you treat your paycheck like it's the last, you're gonna make some great decisions that your future self is gonna thank you. And I always Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Make It Work with Mels. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa. So to begin, so the next thing that I want to talk about is to have a clear set of goals written down. You want to buy a car, you make it that it's a must by end of 2022. I must be having this kind of a car, I must be having this, I must be having that. So put figures to your money, to include the technique on your finances. You know how much you earn and you know how much you can actually afford to set aside. So let's say maybe your whole figure is 10,000 US dollars. What you can possibly do is to say that by the end of X amount of months, I'm gonna need to have, let's say, $1,000. So that's a clear goal, it's defined, and you have an exact figure of how much you're gonna want to have in your account by that time. So it's important because once you tell yourself that I'm gonna need to have this X amount of money in my bank account by then, you're gonna hold yourself accountable. You're just not going to say, well, I can save, I have this money. What that means and what that's gonna do is that when you get your paycheck, first thing that you're gonna do after you removed your bills, the expenses and the living expenses for the month that you necessarily have, you're not gonna make your savings account as something that comes last. You're also gonna include it on part of your expenses because you are owing it to yourself to have an X amount of money in your bank account. So what you're gonna do, we remove the water bills, the electricity bills, your rent, your car expenses and all that, and then savings accounts, let's call them expenses. I know this may not be the technical way of calling them financially or in accounting, but in this way I'm trying to work with you so that you see how best you can do this. So the reason why I'm saying this is because when you have clear goals, you're able to hold yourself accountable. You know that if by this X amount of time I don't have this, I have missed it, and that's what we don't want to do. That's why I said according to how much you earn, according to how much you feel behind on this saving thing, do that. Tell yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're gonna lie to yourself that, well, I earn this much, I can only put aside $100, and it doesn't really equate to how much you may possibly have to save, you're not doing yourself any favor. Mind you, this money that you're putting aside is not going to anybody's pocket, it's going right into your future. Girl, we're gonna need to live comfortably. We're growing up, and who knows what life is gonna bring to us. At some point, you're gonna need to just take a break from work. You're just gonna need to change your lifestyle and things like that. This is the money that's gonna give you confidence to make your own decisions, to leave, to quit your job if you have to start a business if you have to, and even to acquire even bigger assets. So the thing is, we're growing up, right? Owning things is gonna be like a thing. You see the way that is trending right now to have these clothes, these phones and all that. There's gonna come a time in our lives as adults, as we are right now, that it's gonna matter. What do you have to show for your 20s? What do you have to show for your life? The other thing that I want us to talk about is the fear of missing out in the now. This is not something that just take over the teenagers or what. It also happens to us as adults. We are living in a world where life is just so fast. What was trending today may not be trending tomorrow, and what everybody was talking about today may just be history, actually a shame to have by tomorrow. So the fear of missing out goes to the gadgets that are trending, the lifestyle and all that. So you find that because you are having this fear, you end up spending the money that you necessarily don't have to, because you're trying to fit in, you're trying to be part of a movement, because right now trends are not just something that come, take a while and go. Actually, things are just happening so fast. So you may actually, this is actually the reality. I want you to consider this. You may be having your friend, you both work the same job, probably you earn the same X amount of money. That's your assumption. So where your friend goes, that's where you go. And most of the times it could be that one friend is earning more than the other, but because they are friends, they are close, you end up overlooking what's important to you. That's saving. It's not that you're doing it intentionally, but that's your friend. You don't want to miss out on the fun. You don't want to miss out on the growth that's gonna be going down. You end up spending as much as the people around you because you're trying to fit in, you're trying to be there. There's nothing wrong with that. The only problem comes when that's doing you a disfavor. You get to do like, you get to review what you've been using your money on like the previous month, and you realize that most of it you did not do the things that you really wanted to do, but you spent it doing what your friends were doing because you wanted to be part of the occasion of whatever that could have been going on. So that actually becomes a problem, because at the end of the day, this is not something that you are finding as fulfilling to you. You find it as a problem, but you cannot quite let it go. So I would actually recommend that if you really have true friends, feel free to let other things pass. Feel free to tell them, girls, you can go ahead, whatever friends that you have, like, you know what, I think I'll take part in 1 out of 3 activities that we have planned together. I think I can hang out with you for dinner, eating out, maybe once a month, that day where you want to just spoil yourself. And when you do so, don't be scared to suggest the places that you can actually afford, because this is not a must for your friends. This should be a must for you. So you don't have to feel like you are being rushed because you're trying to fit in the circle. It's always good to hang out with people who motivate us, but then it doesn't really serve the purpose when it's actually getting you out of the line. So I really need you to take note. When you go to spend with your friends, when you go out with your friends, do you end up being there because you don't want to be by yourself, or you don't want your friends to feel alone, or what? I want you to be an adult. You know, we are now adults. You are earning money, you are thinking of saving it. That speaks to your level of maturity. You are seeing a need. So this should also go to the decisions that you make, the choices that you say yes to and not to. And I think personally, I honestly really think, if you hang out with people, let it be so healthy enough for you to say no to some of the spending. Because like I said, this video is not for the people who feel like they got it all together, their finances are in place and all that. This is for the people who want to start saving. They feel like they're running out of time, they're wasting the opportunity that they're getting with money, and they want to start doing the right thing. So we need to get to the bottom, to the small things like this, because sometimes you realize that if you are by yourself, you may not even really need to go eat out like every other day to inexpensive places. Maybe you can afford it once or twice. It's okay, you have the money, we get it, but you want to save, right? So feel free to tell your friends, discuss with your friends, because we're grown. We shouldn't just be having talks when we want to buy dresses, want to go party and all that. Talk about your finances. You don't really have to disclose how much you earn or whatever. Just tell them that, guys, if we're gonna be going out, let's have a routine. Impromptus are nice, they are fun, but also keep in mind you're trying to save here. So discuss with your friends, discuss with the people that you hang out with, that I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna pull back on this, because you're trying to make yourself feel good. If you have a working phone, you don't necessarily have to splurge on another one. I'm not saying that have a phone for 10 years, but why not if that's gonna be working for you? Nobody's gonna look at you. In fact, even if they do look at you, that doesn't matter. We are building a future here. We don't want to be grown and we got nothing, yet we had the opportunity to earn some money when we were young and all that. That would not feel so good. So right now, I just need you to take responsibility of the way you think, how you think, and where you put your money and how you spend your money. I always say, treat your paycheck, the one that you get right now, your income, like it's your last. How good is that? Well, I can actually tell you 2 things. It gives you some little bit of wisdom on how to spend it. If that's the last amount of money that you have in your hands, let's say you just got laid off at work, how are you going to spend it? Truth is, you're not going to be going around flaunting it and taking everything that you're going to be seeing on the shelf that looks trendy, that looks somewhat nice to your eyes. You're gonna look at what are the basic things that I cannot do without. What are the things that I may actually need to continue growing this money? trust me, if that's gonna be your last check and you know that you've been laid off, you're gonna be thinking like, I need to start a business. I need to use this wisely. How can I spend this money? How can I save it? Yes, when you start, it makes you walk on eggshells. At this point, you're being accountable to yourself. You know how much you've been struggling with wanting to starting to save. And actually, we've been living in the very uncertain times like 2019, 2020, 2021. I live in Wuhan. This is where it all started. Like 6 months flight, I was at home. Thank God we survived that moment, and we saw it all. Trust me, it wasn't pretty, but yeah, these principles actually really helped me, because imagine knowing that you have a job but that job cannot afford to pay you the money that it should be paying you. You have rentals, you have bills, you have many other things that you need. If it wasn't that we were cushioned, we had money, we would have starved around that time. So this is something that I'm telling you, these are very uncertain times. So every paycheck that you have, treat it with so much responsibility and wisdom. So wisdom isn't just something isn't something that looks, oh wow, they got wisdom and all that. It's the things that you really think through, and you make decisions that you know they can sustain you in the long run, in the future. I'm not just talking about when another pandemic happens and all that. That's the worst case scenario. But when you treat your paycheck like it's the last, you're gonna make some great decisions that your future self is gonna thank you. And I always want you to keep in mind that this money that you're gonna be saving and that you're gonna be withholding yourself from spending it all isn't going anywhere. It's your money, but you're owing it to your future. That actually should be the catchy target, let's say catchy phrase. It's your money, but not for now. It's like an inheritance you're building up for yourself. It's like a wealth you're building up for yourself. You could be a child, your parents have all this money for you. It's only going to be until a certain age that they're going to give you that inheritance. So you are building this wealth, you're building this inheritance for yourself. Don't feel like you are not so cool enough. You're actually the coolest, because you actually want to save right now. So let's be realistic. You are an adult, I'm an adult, we all adults. If you're on this video, that means it's so important to be mindful of what we do with our money and the opportunities that come our way. That's all I had to tell you guys. So I just had to make these 3 principles as the starting point. If you actually enjoyed this video, there is so much that I've been learning. So set the goals for yourself. Don't have the fear of missing out, and treat every paycheck like it's your last. That's what's going to make things happen for you. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Also, once again, thank you so much guys for watching. That was all for today. Bye.